Hi, I'm Shahar and this is Spill the Beans. Today I'm in Heartbeats Jewelry Store with Tremaine Fenton, and we are going to talk a little bit about her journey as an entrepreneur. So tell me before everything else, tell me about you, a little bit about you.
Well, I was born and raised here in Utah.
Okay.
I grew up in a small town called Mount Pleasant, which is about in the center of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved up to Salt Lake City when I was in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived here ever since. I have 3 children, and I'm married. And that's
it.
Pretty much.
When did you start beading?
Well, I used to bead a lot as a teenager, when I was, like 13 or 14, in that age range. And I did a lot of pretty intricate work for being that age, but I had no one to give me any instructions, so I would just look at things and try and figure out how they were made.
Wow.
And but after a while I got frustrated with that because my pieces wouldn't ever really turn out how I wanted them. I didn't know how to well, I didn't know like how to tie a knot and to add new thread. I never was able to figure that out. And so I always had big knots and globs of glue and things in the middle of my pieces, and I would just hated that. And so I wasn't being able to get the results I wanted, so I kind of gave up on it after a while.
Do you come from an entrepreneurial family, or are you the first person to have its own business?
Well, my father had his own business. He had a business where he would go to the coal mines and pick up coal in his truck and bring it back and deliver it to people's houses.
Oh.
That was his business. And really my first own business was catching and selling night crawlers, which are a worm.
Oh, really?
To fishermen.
Oh.
So that
How
was.
old were you?
I was about, I would say I was about 14 or 15, right around then. And I actually did really well with that, considering, at the time, it seemed like a lot of money and people liked coming to me. And my dad always instilled in me that you always have what the customer needs. You never run out. So I really worked hard to always have stock.
What happened later? Did you have other businesses before starting the bead store?
After that, I just started working jobs for other people. I ended up getting a job for an insurance company, and I worked there for 13 years. Wow. So I had a lot of experience doing math. I was a claims processor, so figuring out percentages, and I don't know, I just always kind of had a head for math and
numbers.
Business.
Good.
Yeah, so that helps.
And what made you quit the safe life of an employee to become an entrepreneur?
Well, what happened is the company that I worked for ended up going bankrupt.
Oh.
And
pretty
so
common today too.
Yeah, and so I had my two daughters already, and I got pregnant with my 3rd child, and I decided I wanted to stay home. And so all those years I had not been beading from when I was a teenager until in my 30s. And then what happened is after I had my first baby, I ended up having some health problems. I got just the flu, and then got complications from the flu, and my baby got sick, and I went into like a depression, postpartum depression or whatever. And so my mom had kind of recognized that I was depressed. Her mom used to get depressed easy too. And so she recognized that I needed something to make me excited, something that was fun, something that would keep me boosted up.
Right.
And so one of her guitar students had given her a daisy chain necklace, and she brought it up to my house and says, "Remember when you used to make these? When you were like 13, and remember how much fun that was for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of, So then things just sometimes fall into place like they're meant to be. And I really felt like things happen for a reason. And my sister had run into a gal that was selling beads out of her car at Bridalveil Falls. I mean, what are the chances of that? I mean, she just happened to be there, and this girl was there, so I ended up getting some supplies from her, and things just fall into place, and it's just amazing how that happens. And then I started selling made jewelry. I was up in Park City. I sold different shows, the Swiss Days, which is a huge festival, Dickens Festival, which is a Christmas, and I did really good at it. And I used to teach at all the bead stores that were locally here. And so many people would be like, oh, you should open up your own store. And I was always like, no, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to have a job. I wanted to be able to be my own boss and be able to just go and do what I wanted. And it was wonderful, but the powers that be, again, kind of have it in for me. And I was teaching at one of the gem shows that comes here, and this lady approached me, and she had told me that she had been storing some beads for her friend who was in a nursing home and had been there for 6 years, and she just had to get rid of her beads. She just couldn't keep them anymore. She'd been storing them all that time, and there was no way her friend was getting better. She was, you know, slipping away. So she wanted to know if I'd be interested in coming and looking at them. And I went out to see what she had, and she opened up this storage locker, and it was just full of boxes, like storage containers. She'd been storing these for all these years, and they were just in peanut butter jars, jelly jars, jam jars. I mean, so a lot of it I didn't even know what it was. And it was like a bead store right there. And it was like, you know, okay. If I must, if I have to buy these, obviously it's meant that I'm supposed to open up a business, because you know, another thing, it just like, it was like it fell in my lap.
This was how many years ago?
This was 7 years ago. This was in 2004, like July of 2004. So anyway, we ended up opening a store in August of that year, and we've had to make several moves since.
You got the beads. You really didn't tell your husband about that, right? And then fast forward some time, you're inside a mall. Well, you have higher rent rates there, right? The expenses go up quite a bit because of that. How was that?
Well, and honestly, like, that mall was on a decline. So they ended up renting me my first space for only $500 a month.
Wow, that's nice.
Which was really nothing. I hired my children, my girls, and I had one other employee. And then, you know, we'd have other little part-timers that, you know, a lot of times people would want to earn money for beads or things like that, that we kind of worked with. But anyway, it's worked out really good. We've kept all of our family together, so it's me and my 2 daughters now running this shop. And yeah, we really enjoy it.
I want to make a point here, because that's really important. When an opportunity knocks at your door, you have to jump at it, right? Because that's when the huge opportunities come up. Let's face it, $500 in New York rents a desk. That's what that money is worth, depending on where you are in the country. And you were able to have a store inside a mall for that amount. And why? Because the opportunity came in front of you and you took action right away.
Yeah, and plus you have to realize it was a downtrodden mall, you know, but there had been a bead store that was, I was there for 3 years.
For 3 years.
And what happened is that was a very small little shop. And then as our business built and people got to know us, then we ended up moving in the mall to a big store, a huge store. It was 17,000 square feet. So it was giant. It used to be a Gap. And so we had tons of space, and of course our rent went up quite a bit. The biggest thing was the utilities too. In that particular sense, it was a really old mall. Like, my utilities were pretty close to the same as my rent.
Wow.
You had a basic rent. I think in the bigger store it was like $1,500, but then a percentage on top of that.
I see.
So anything you sold over like $10,000, then there was a percentage that you had to pay on top. So anyway, that was one nice thing about the mall, though, is you knew what your rent was, but and then if you had really good months, you didn't mind paying a little extra for rent. But then when we moved over here, our rent went up again by a lot, but luckily our utility bills went down. Yeah.
What about the clientele? Because you had a very loyal clientele at the mall, right?
Yes.
Did they move here? What did you have to do?
I honestly was very surprised that not more people knew where we were. I mean, I had had an email list, a mailing list that I had been collecting for months. As soon as I heard that the mall was going to close, I got on that and I sent out invitations, discount coupons, everything to the store. And for the first, I would say 3 months, I was just like, where is everyone?
You know, I have to tell you one thing. I met you way at the beginning of the other mall. I went there with a friend and we took some classes. And she, every time, she doesn't live here in Utah, so she's always saying, oh, when I go to Utah, let's go to that lady. And you moved, right? And I heard the mall was closing down, so I knew you were not there. But it took me years to figure out you were here. Mail gets lost, or you don't pay attention the moment you get it.
Right.
So, yeah. So what did you do in the first 3 months then?
I actually took business cards and went to numerous businesses in the area. I did a little networking and I went and told them about me, and especially the jewelry stores, because the jewelry stores, a lot of times people will bring in broken strands of beads and the jewelry stores can't manage that. I mean, they don't care about that. That's not what they do. And so it gave me a chance to tell them about me, and they started sending people to me. So as the Cottonwood Mall people finally found me, and then at the same time I was doing a lot of repair work, and that really kept the doors open until our clientele finally found us again.
So you didn't sit here waiting for people to come by, right?
Right.
Well, which is a common mistake.
Yeah.
Right? We see the businesses open, they're nice and everything, but they just sit down and wait for people to come in.
No.
And frankly, they don't do that.
Yeah.
And how did you manage the inventory? Because you were in a small store and you went to a huge one. What happened? Did you just space things out, or
we
you
did
made
it
an
first?
investment, or?
Yeah, no, I've never been one to believe into going into debt.
Good.
I mean, that is one
for you.
thing that, I mean, if I don't have the money to pay for it, we're not getting it, you know?
And there's another point here that is really crucial for business owners.
Yeah.
To understand that you have the choice to choose growth or profits, and usually profits keeps you in business.
Yeah.
It keeps you in business. While growth, you might invest, and then you're out of business in 6 months.
Yeah.
And we see that happening quite often.
It does, yeah.
How are things today?
Good, really good, yeah, yep.
So here in this store, what are your channels of revenue? You still make jewelry that you sell,
right?
And you give classes?
We teach a lot of classes here. We offer one free class a month, and then we have others that we charge tuition on. So we have that, and we sell beads, of course, and then we do jewelry repair.
Repair. Well, I'm asking you because we always tell people that in any business that you have, there should be at least 5 different channels of revenue within the business. Okay, so it's really important to point that out. And one thing that you do that I quite like is that, so she has the piece of the month.
Right.
Okay? And they can come here for free, they buy the supply. What this really does is bring you new customers, right? And keep them buying, or not.
Well, to us, what we find is it creates people the desire to come back every month.
So you're
as
teaching your
opposed to
audience how to come back to you month after
monthly,
month, which is very difficult to do in business.
As opposed to coming in one time and then never coming again. You know, it keeps them excited to see what the next thing is, and keeps their interest. They always want to see what's new and what new things we can teach them. Exactly. So,
and there's also a sense of urgency, because if I miss that month, that piece is gone, and then I have to pay a lot more in order to get that class. Right,
exactly.
So forces them really to come on a 30-day basis if they want to keep on top of the trend in the bidding, right?
Exactly. Very good.
Cool. And marketing-wise, what do you do?
Right now, I do mostly just a coupon calendar.
Does that work for you?
It does, yeah. And the nice thing about that is a calendar is something that people hold on to for a month. Where if it's
those magnetic calendars,
as opposed to something that gets sent to your house and you toss out on a weekly basis. I mean, a lot of times I know myself when I get a weekly news flyer or whatever. If I
Just throw away.
so it's worked out good.
That's
But just internet
Do you
advertising.
sell online or
No,
what
we
do you
don't
do?
sell online. You know, we at one time we had put a lot of kits on our website, but unfortunately, trying to work with the web people, they right now, like, it charges tax twice or something, some
your
weird
shopping
thing.
cart is okay.
Is not set up properly,
Uh-huh.
and that would be one thing that we do need
And one
to
of
work
the kids
on.
don't want to learn that in order to help you with?
Well, my son, that's not involved in the business that much, he helps me with the website more than the girls do.
Okay.
But it's not to the point
you
where I really am trying to market online yet. I almost feel like I would need to hire another person just to
Just to
take
manage
care,
that.
just to manage that, because right now we're really pretty busy, you know.
You do still spend a lot of time in your business here.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
What are your plans? How do you see that going? Or is this something that you'd like to do, to be here a lot of hours?
Well, the difficult thing is my husband just retired.
Okay.
So he wants to do a lot of traveling now. And so, you know, I cannot just leave because there's a lot of jobs that I do that I'm the only one that does. You know, a lot of the paperwork and things like that is just, you know, you can't just give it up, you know. Someone's got to pay the bills and stuff. So until I get my daughters trained more, you know, and I can leave for like a week out of each month, but that's about it, you know, for this point, at this point.
So the leverage, are the kids close to being able to take care
Oh,
of
yeah,
that or not?
yeah.
The other route for that would be even to leverage even more the possibilities that you have with this business, like, for example, having online classes, because they're popular here, right? I have been here in days that you just cannot walk in here,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah.
people, I was here like 3 days ago buying something, and I saw two ladies that they have massive boxes with supplies, and I say, those are heavy hobbies, right? I'm
Yeah.
happy with 2 or 3 little boxes at home. but
Right.
They had, so it gets very busy. They are very popular, but you haven't capitalized on that idea yet
Not yet,
because
no.
you think it's a lot of work, probably.
Well, and I feel like I'm about as busy as I want to be myself right now. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things I could do if I wanted to grow my business,
Exactly.
you know, but again, it takes a lot of, you know, training more people. It takes a lot of,
It does. It
you
takes
know,
a lot of work.
yeah, and I just don't know that I want to, you
So
know.
how do you see the future for your business?
I'm actually quite content how it is right now. I don't see that. I mean, we're able to pay our bills. We're able to pay all the employees. We're able to, you know,
Which
everything's
is a lot
going
more
good.
than a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you have a healthy business in a
It
time that
is.
many people are closing down.
Yeah, and
Do you have
so
a lot of competition for this?
there are 3 other bead stores in the area,
Okay.
but I don't see them as. I guess the thing with bead stores is every bead store you go to has different things. I mean, they have some of the same, but a lot of people that go to bead stores will go to all the bead stores.
Okay.
You know, and that's okay because that's excitement. It's fun. It's let's go see what they have over there, you know, and so
And that helps a little bit.
It
and what
does.
about the gym fair? Because they come here every 3 or 4 months.
Uh-huh.
Right? Does that hurt your business or not?
we see a lull in our business for about 1 or 2 weeks before the gem fair. But then after the gem fair, it makes up for it because people will get things there and then they need other things to go with it, or they need help learning how to work it into their pieces.
If you had to give one piece of advice to people starting their own business, you know, could be on the dark side, be careful about this, or just a very good tip, what do you think? You've been in business for quite a while,
I have.
which in today's age is a very good thing, right? And you have a healthy business. So you've been to ups and downs like anybody else.
Right.
What would be your piece of advice?
I would think just really be careful about your growth and your going in debt. I mean, seriously.
You are an exception, right? Because most people we see, they run the business on a credit card. Okay, and yeah, it's a terrible mistake, but it happens. I've seen a room with 2,000 people sitting in a seminar, an event, where they ask how many people are running their business with a credit card. And I think at least 95% of the room went up, and I said, this is so scary, but
Yeah.
it's common.
Yeah.
But how can somebody manage the business without going into debt?
You just have to be smart. I mean, you have to look for the deals and the bargains, and you have to be careful. You have to say, this is how much money I have, or, you know.
That's how far I can go.
Yeah, that's it. Or how much can I pay off if you are using a credit card? And I do use a credit card
Right.
for my monthly purchase, but I make sure I pay it off every month, you know.
Do you take care of all your accounting, or do you outsource that?
We do all
You
of
do
it
all of
except for the stuff we need for a CPA
taxes.
for,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, all of the payrolls all handled in house, and I realize there's a lot of people that can't do that too, and that's one thing that is like, okay, I'd really like to give that part up, just especially because to save time, and I think that's another little bit of advice I would give people is, like, a lot of people will come in here and they think, oh, how nice it would be to just sit here and make jewelry all day, you know?
If it was only that, yeah.
But people,
Don't
you know,
realize.
people do think that that's all we really do is make jewelry all day. And, you know, it's nice to give that presentation, but honestly, there's so much more to it than really it looks like. It's a lot more work. There's nights I stay here till 3, 4 in the morning just to catch up on my paperwork so I can go with my husband for a week, or, you know, I mean, there's just a lot of things that people just, they don't see that. They only see what looks like all the pretty beads out here on the table, you know.
just do what you like, and
Yeah.
you make this boatload of money,
Yeah.
and they don't see the bad part, right?
Exactly.
You probably do all the buying too, right? So
Yep.
there's all that.
All the
part.
buying, you know, these come like this, but we sell them like that. So you have to cut these up, and you have to string them all up, and you have to price them, and, you know, you have to, again, negotiate prices with people, and that's difficult because a lot of times you're dealing with people from other countries that don't speak any English, and, you know, you ask a price on thing and they just punch it in on a calculator and show it to you
Yes,
because they don't speak English. And I mean, there's just a lot of things like that that people don't really realize. Yeah, it just looks very fun, like you just sit here and make jewelry all day. So that's all right, you can think that. But
Tremaine, if people want to know more about you, how they can find you?
we have a website. It's heartbeadsjewelry.com, and or we have a phone number. It's 801-281-9978. So that's how you would find me.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
And, well, tell me the address. We do have a large audience in Utah. Tell me the address.
Oh,
of the
we're
store.
at State Street, and we're 6054 South State Street. So we're just across the street from Fashion Place Mall, and in the same parking lot as Burlington Coat Factory. A lot of people recognize that as a landmark in the city. So we're in the same parking lot, just on the south end of the parking lot. So
Thank you very much.
you are welcome. Thank you too, Shahara.
We just finished talking to Tremaine Fenton from Heartbeats Jewelry, and you see that during this show we have very good nuggets of information that you can too apply in your own business. Tremaine is really a savvy entrepreneur, or as I like to say, a wise chick. You know, I've known her for quite a few years, actually since 2004, 2005 as a customer. So I've seen her on her first store, the second store, and now on this one. I've seen her on trade shows, I've seen her on gem fairs, and I know she's the kind of entrepreneur that takes action and she does what it takes in order to get the results she wants, which is very important. See, I talk to entrepreneurs all day long, and I cannot really tell you how sad I am to see that most people, they just cross their arms and wait for the best to happen in their business. They don't take the actions that are necessary because they feel uncomfortable, they don't like to. And you see that Tremaine is not that kind of person. When she moved to the last store, she went business to business, giving her business cards and talking to them. And this is really something that you should model, because it's very important. We have to do what it takes in order to get our business growing. And the other thing that she mentioned is that she's really doesn't like the debt, and I don't like it either. And I think we need to favor profits over growth many times in our business. So again, another nugget for you to see. She has many other things that we couldn't talk about because of the time constraint, but for example, the quality of the pieces that she has in her store. Yes, she only has 3 other competitors in the area, but I can assure you that from a consumer point of view, she has the best quality than all of them around that area. Now, let me tell you a tidbit of a few things I would do different. You see that, and understand one thing, by the way. She's happy the way the business is right now. She's happy with the results she's having, and so she is right. Okay, I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong here, but she could be doing a few things a little better. For example, she says she only has 3 competitors in the area, which is true. But don't forget that she also has all the competitors online. It's so easy today for you to go online and buy. And because she's in a very good moment in her business, she really doesn't need to be marketing out there that much, right? Unfortunately, that's a mistake 90% of entrepreneurs make when things are going great. They stop marketing, and they shouldn't. Because we do live in a global, very competitive world, and we are not only local anymore. And for sure, she cannot think that she only has 3 competitors around that area, because she has a ton. She has a ton online. So she should take care of whatever issues she's having online and put that game going, because that could be crucial to her, and help her on the second point, that is, she needs to leverage her time. She needs to leverage what she does in business. Again, normal with 90% of entrepreneurs, we want control over everything. We know things are not going to get done as well if we are not there, which is all true, but we still need to be able to let part of the business go in the sense of outsourcing that in some shape and form, or creating automated channels of revenue in order to be able to leverage our time. We need to do that. She needs to go have the trips with the husband, and she needs to have free time. So we need to see how she could be doing that. I've suggested the online trainings, which, yes, she said it's too much work, and yes, she's right again. But it's work that you do once, and then you can leverage that for the rest of your life, of your business life. And since she's already given the classes there, it wouldn't be hard at all for her to tape those. Not only that, her employees, they spend the day doing other pieces probably for the next class or something. Well, why not tape that process and turn that into online course? Even if she would sell those courses online for 20 bucks or so, you know, she would be, it's money that she wouldn't be working for in order to get, and that's just one possibility there. But she said she knows many ways she could grow the business, but all of them entitle work. Well, yes, but which are the ones that you would work only once and then keep getting residual income out of that? We need to think that in our businesses, we always need to have 4 or 5 revenue channels inside the business, which it does, but some of them need to bring continuity income. And I think that's the key word really that is missing here, continuity income. But other than that, very, very cool business. You know, it's really the kind of business that talks about a irrational passion. For example, I like beading just as a hobby, and I go there many days a week actually to get one more thing and one more thing that I need for this and one more thing. And I'm really just a hobbyist. She has tons of people that are doing this as a business too. So it's great when we find ourselves in a business that talks to a rational passion, because when we have a passion about something, we buy whatever is new out there. So she's in a great business. Everything is going good, but I want it to go great. Okay, and see you next time.